I love gacha games. It's a weird sensation of finally getting the character that you've been saving up for months for to finally have it in your roster. My name is Lunar, but you can just call me Lux. You see, the thing is with gacha games is they take a lot of space. They take more space than Minecraft and mods combined. Every update feels like it may or may not break the bank on how much space you need for you to run the game. I know that's the same thing with ZZZ. Here is exactly why I stopped playing ZZZ and why I'm playing it now. I currently play 3 different gacha games on rotation: Wuthering Waves, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero. And I started playing Zenless Zone Zero back when it was still fairly new. We didn't really get any new characters or anything like that. We were just starting off with the story. And to be honest, I don't know what it was, but I just wasn't clicking with the initial style of it. I knew that was just a me thing where I had to eventually get used to the layout of everything and basically what and where everything was at. It was obviously a very different experience compared to Honkai Star Rail with a turn-based combat, and now you're going back to kind of Genshin where everything is kind of open world in a sense where it's not a turn-based combat system. I'm not really going to talk about the story because I don't really care about the story. I usually skip it anyway. But I feel like what Hoyo really does good with when it comes to their games in general is their character. I don't know what it is with Zenless Zone Zero. I can see that the characters are meant to be a lot more cartoony compared to Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact. You can tell just by how they move in the cutscenes and dialogue that they have a lot more emotions, and their characters feel like people in a way. They don't just feel like stale characters just placed in the background. They actually feel like they have movement, life, fluidity going through them. And I definitely have to give Hoyo credit where credit is due when it comes to their characters. I just feel like they do it best. I don't really hate a particular character. I feel like with every Hoyo game, every character has a unique style to them. Not necessarily their personality, but just how they dress and what exactly they're wearing and how they're wearing it. I know there's a lot of characters in ZZZ that I personally have grown attached to. As of when I'm recording this, the new season 2 has been released with some of the new characters, which I definitely went ahead to pull for Yinshui. I'm having a hard time saying these names already, but I already knew I was going to get her mainly because this was my first pull for an S rank in the game. It was a huge learning curve for me to just get used to the layout and everything. And when I first played the game, I wasn't initially attached to it mainly because, again, the layout was very different from what I'm used to. Everything felt like it was all over the place. It felt very clunky, and it was like no matter how many videos I watched and tutorials I watched to get me used to it, I could never, for some reason, it just wasn't sitting right with me. And so I thought maybe this was a sign for me to just delete the game and just continue to play the 2 games I've been playing. Back to the whole topic about gacha games and how much space they take, considering that I play these gacha games on rotation, they do need their own separate space for each game because, again, each update takes a little bit more of my space than I would like. And I don't really want to have like multiple gacha games on my computer at once because that's honestly too much, especially if I'm not really dedicated to that current gacha game. I'm not gonna download it and play it. That's mainly the whole reason why I didn't play Genshin Impact for a long time, was because I just didn't have the space for it. I didn't have the computer specs for it. The game demanded at the time so much that I didn't have, and so I ultimately had to make a decision to give it up. Now that doesn't mean I don't like Genshin Impact, but it's the same with a bunch of other games that I want to play in the future. There's a lot of gacha games that I have seen that have either had their pre-releases or they're definitely coming out in future, such as like Silver Palace, I'm pretty sure. And there was also Ethereal Restart, which I'm not sure if that's been publicly released yet, but I gave Ethereal Restart a chance. You know, I downloaded it and it was basically the same setup as Honkai Star Rail with the turn-based combat system, which I was already familiar with, so I already felt like this might be a piece of cake for me. But ultimately, I don't know, it was the same thing where I just wasn't feeling it for whatever reason. reason. I don't know if it was because of the characters or the story, but I just wasn't feeling the whole dynamic of the game. So I ultimately deleted it and switched it out for Zenless Zone Zero. And I was just like, you know what? I want to give this game a second chance because I really do love the characters. For some reason, I don't know, I really like the cartoonish style that they went with these characters, and I like combat system that they have going on. I just have to get used to how everything is set and how everything is laid out. I started playing again after the second phase of the anniversary event, which is kind of unfortunate because I saw this one character that I wanted to go ahead and pull for, but her banner had already left, so I have to wait for her rerun banner. But that was really what got me into really giving it a chance, like honestly giving it a fair chance before saying, oh, I don't want to play it. So I took my time to re-download the game, sign in, and jump right into the story, the gameplay, and everything. And I don't really care for the story, so I just ended up skipping for most of it. But the combat system is where it was at for me. Even though I was a little skeptical at first, I wasn't sure what to expect. I really wasn't getting attached to it the way I wanted to. But these last couple of days, I've been really just playing and grinding on it, and so far, I've actually been enjoying it. Now, what really set me for this game was its characters and how much life they had in them. And so I felt like I could really give this game a shot because I really do love these characters. Not that I know much about them. I don't know anything about their backstory. I don't know anything about their characters. I just like their character design, their style, the way that they're like drawn. They feel like people with personalities and not just blank boards or something like that. And down the line, I eventually saved a couple of pulls to pull for Yinshui. And I was really happy with that because I really loved her design. I loved her backstory, and I just loved her as a whole. I don't know too much about her considering that I'm just now trying to start and get into the story itself, but I haven't gotten to season 2 yet, so I'm still like at the very kind of beginning of season 1, kind of getting fresh with the characters and everything, even though I ultimately know what happens in the story and everything like that, but I haven't gotten to that point game-wise. I gave the game a chance, and to my surprise, I was not disappointed. The whole combat system of it all, it was a little bit different, but I eventually got used to it. I eventually got used to the mechanics and how to level up your characters, how to level up your engines, and what engines are needed for what. At first, I really did feel just overwhelmed with everything, and I was just not sure if I was going to like it. But I'm honestly glad that I gave it a chance, and I'm almost thinking of giving Genshin another chance because I know it's just one of those games that will always have a special place in my heart. But at the same exact time, it's just I can't see myself re-downloading it, mainly because of the whole space issue again, but because I don't have that attachment for it anymore. And that's a me thing. That's really not anybody else's fault but me. But I know with every game that Hoyo releases, like Honkai Impact 3 or whatever, I think that's how it's called, I don't know, they have a lot of games out, and there's only 2 games that are from that creator that I play, and I really like enjoy and dedicate myself to. And I'm hoping to see more in the future. I'm just really hooked onto this game right now. I'm willing to put forth time, the effort needed, because if I, for whatever reason, didn't like Zenless Zone Zero, for whatever reason, I would, take up that extra spot for Silver Palace down the line and other gacha games. I've been really like searching for other gacha games that have that kind of feel that I've been looking for and I've been missing. And so I feel like Zenless Zone Zero was that game, but I just haven't given it the proper chance to flourish the way I wanted it to. And now that I have, I can't say that I regret it. Let me know some tips and tricks down below. But I feel like the major drawback for me is the loading screens. I know in Honkai Star Rail and even in Genshin Impact, they may, for certain things, have loading screens, but Genshin Impact is mostly an open world. Same with Honkai Star Rail. To some extent, it is an open world, but you're still kind of limited. But let's say if you wanted to go inside the gaming shop and then you want to come out to the street, there's a loading screen. If you want to go to the garage and then go back inside, there's a loading screen. Or if you want to go to anywhere, it's a loading screen, which is kind of irritating to me. I don't really like that whole aspect of the game. I really feel like it does feel like a closed world. At least with Honkai Star Rail, the only loading screen you get is when you enter into a combat situation or a fight scene. Then there's like usually a loading screen, but other than that, it feels more open. You don't have to load into the room. You can just go to the room, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's a major drawback for me, but I don't mind the way it's usually not that long anyway, but it does get irritating, especially when you're just trying to go from one place that's right next to the next place and you have to go through a long loading screen. So, but I hate loading screens in general, so that doesn't really surprise me. I'm not too invested in the story that I've stated multiple times. I love that there's a skip button though. I also like how in the combat system in Zenless Zone Zero, how everything is set up where you have the safe world, if you will, like safe zone for everybody to be at, and then you have the combat area where there's like ethereals and things like that roaming around. I honestly like the story. I feel like it's a very interesting story, a story that like I haven't heard before. When it comes to gacha games, is really interesting, and I like what they did with how everything is technically all in the same world. I don't know why at some point I thought like when they had the ethereal restart is literally like they're going into a virtual reality, like Sword Art Online, where there's the real life and then you have the gaming life. I thought that's what Zenless Zone Zero was until I actually like looked up a lore video about what it's actually about, and the world that they're going into is still the real life. It's still the real world. It's not like they're going into a game. They're still set in real life, if that makes sense. Now, the combat system is a very interesting system that I have to eventually get used to. I like how you have 3 main characters and you kind of have like a chain reaction where you swap between them. I like how there's different elements like ether, and I think there's some like plasma. I think she uses plasma or something like that, or metal. I'm not exactly sure. I forgot. But there's different elements. You got electric, you've got fire, and you got like the basics, and then you got like others along with it. And all in all, I don't really have anything bad or negative despite what I've already stated about this game. Obviously, it still has more improvements to make. I don't know what those improvements are, but it's obviously not a perfect gacha game, but I'm definitely giving it its shot, and I'm definitely enjoying it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye everyone.